Hey guys, I'm making this quick video more or less to talk about what I've been doing, since yesterday was Halloween and all. I thought I'd just make a quick video about, what I did for Halloween. Earlier, yesterday on October 31st being Halloween, I started off the day by maybe watching a few movies, Scream, Final Destination, Silent Hill, Carrie, in celebration of the holiday. Um, and then I moved on to games, of course, survival horror games. Um, but these I've been playing throughout the month. So, I played games like Resident Evil 6. I played for the majority of the month. While that's generally not completely horror, it still has, horror-based themes in it. So, I enjoyed that experience. Out of the games, of course I played, Silent Hill, the first one, the original one. I played Siren Blood Curse. I played... what other horror games did I play? Of course I played all of Resident Evil 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or, Mortal Kombat. That's not really a horror game, but it does have a Halloween feel to it. And I also played Siren, the original Siren, for PS2, which, is Siren Blood Curse is a remake of the original Siren, and let me just say that the difficulty level was toned down a lot for Siren Blood Curse. I mean, the game's about an hour long, but it still has, that sense of horror. And major differences between the original Siren and Siren Blood Curse is the fact that Siren Blood Curse has half American cast and half Japanese cast, so Siren Blood Curse is more or less, let's just say, Americanized, and both games are made by the same team. But in Japan, they actually love, Americanized things. Like, they love hearing the American English language. So when this game came out over in Japan, it was called Siren New Translation, which is basically means remake in their case. They just made the title literal, whereas over here, I was like, okay, that won't sell as a title. We need something more creative. So the title was changed to Siren Blood Curse for North America and Europe. Now, that's one of the major differences. Another is, of course, the language. In Siren Blood Curse, half of the cast, being American, they speak English, and the other half of the cast is Japanese, so they speak Japanese. And Japan, while they got the game on a physical disc, we, Europe and North America, we got it as a download on PlayStation Network for the PlayStation 3. The original Siren had a completely Japanese cast, but the difference between the Japanese version and the North American and European versions was, of course, the voiceovers. Like, in Japan, of course, the voices are all Japanese, naturally. But the game was localized and dubbed in the UK before it was brought over to North America. So that's why even in the North American version, we have English with British accents. because it was dubbed over in the UK. One difference in the the difference with the UK version is they changed the title of the game to Forbidden Siren, whereas in North America we kept the original Japanese title, which is just simply Siren. And there was actually 3 games for Siren. The first game was released in Japan, Europe, and North America, but the second game was released in Japan and Europe only. There was no North American release for the second game. And then there was the remake, which got released everywhere. A lot of people liked the remake. There were people that didn't like it, and I guess, for obvious reasons, they felt that the Americanizations were forced. They also felt that they also felt that the game was too easy, which it was. Like, it was meant for the casual players, like, because people complained that it was too hard. So they took away a lot of the backtracking and stuff. But once you really get the hang of the original game, like, in terms of how it works and what the idea behind it is, each level can take you up to like 5 minutes. The first game had like 10 characters, whereas the remake actually has like 5 or 6 in total. I mean, I could be wrong, but I know that there's definitely less of a number of characters than the original game. So that's something to take into consideration. It's definitely a challenge, and meant for the hardcore gamer, but it's not meant for everyone, because the original game is challenging. And the funny thing about this is, what made me go back and play the original Siren was, I don't have it on for PS2 anymore. I lost it a long time ago. But the reason that I was able to play it was because, the day before Halloween, I actually looked at the Japanese store, and I saw that it was on there, or not, or even maybe it was. I think it was actually the day before that, but then I bought it 2 days before Halloween, the day before Halloween. So I was like, because I went to on my Japanese PlayStation Network account just to see more or less what they had, and I was like, what? They started off with all the good titles as usual, because Japan owns a lot of the good titles. They have Capcom vs. SNK2 on their store as a PlayStation 2 classic. They have Resident Evil Code Veronica, also known as Biohazard, in Japan. Now you might be saying, don't we already have that in our store though? We have the horrible HD remastered version, and Japan has that same version too. But in addition to that, they also have the original PS2 version of the game. So if people wanted, they could actually buy the PS2 version in Japan. They have Silent Hill 4: The Room on their PS2 classics. It's like, what? That would be selling here. Like, people complained about it not being in the HD collection of Silent Hill 2 and 3, which they were horribly done, but people were still complaining about the fact that it wasn't there before that collection was even released. So it was like, what? They have that? And Japan's the country that's not really into violence much, despite the fact that they have a lot of violence in their entertainment. They also had Dead or Alive 2 on their PlayStation Classics. Samurai Warriors 2. They had and of course Siren, which I ended up buying. And of course they had other games there, but none of them really stood out to me as much as the ones that I just mentioned. Like maybe 5 or 6 titles right from the start that just caught my attention. Like, really, they have all these titles, and these are actually all games I play. Like, I still have Samurai Warriors 1 and Samurai Warriors 2, the North American version for PS2, luckily PS1 controllers can work with that game, because certain games you can't play without an actual PS2 controller. So I'm glad I got Siren, the original Japanese version, so I can actually hear the Japanese voiceovers, because I like to more or less get the real authentic experience that they do over there in Japan, like, because people wonder, why do you buy a game in a foreign language that you may not understand, and some reason behind that, like, people want the game so badly that they buy it impulsively without thinking, and so they could get it early. Um, people, some people want to just buy the game because they're studying the language and they want to get more familiar with the language. And some people also enjoy getting the full experience, the full authentic experience that is supposed to be offered in the game, and you can't get that from a game that seems to be set in Japan, with Japanese characters, but you hear British voices when they talk. I mean, if there were American actors, voice actors, at least it would take away the awkwardness, because there's really no accent when it comes to American English. but no, I had the British English, so I think that just kind of took away from the experience. What else can I say? So that's, pretty much what I did for Halloween. And then afterwards, later on that night, I had to go to a family friend's house and go trick-or-treating with their kid, and, they gave me a bag, so I more or less had to join in with the trick-or-treating. Which, may sound strange, but I wasn't the only one. There were other people, like, either they were younger than me, maybe some even older than me, going around just trick-or-treating for themselves as well. So, I'm glad I wasn't alone in the neighborhood I was trick-or-treating in. But anyway, that's all I wanted to do, is more or less make a video explaining what I had done for Halloween. I'll stop it here. I'll make another video soon. Hope everyone had a happy Halloween, and good night.